This is the 2015 IZIP E3 Peak DS, and the DS stands for dual suspension. It's got front and rear suspension, 120 millimeter travel on both, and pretty sweet setup. Air suspension on the front fork with adjust right there. Let's see, looks like X-Fusion Velvet. Same thing on the mid suspension, and then there's a little bit of an adjustment right here as well for stiffness. So pretty good setup, and being air kind of keeps the bike relatively light. This one's 50 pounds total. The regular E3 Peak, which is a hardtail, meaning no rear suspension, that's 49 pounds. So you're, for 1 extra pound, you're getting full suspension. Now, this is significantly more expensive. This bike, it's like $4,500, so you're really paying a premium for all that, extra support, but you're getting quite a powerful system, one that's going to be really capable off-road. It's going to be able to climb, and it's going to be able to conserve that battery because it is using a mid-drive system. This is a TransX 350 watt geared mid-drive, and the way it works is it pulls that chain, the same chain that you pedal with as a rider. It uses speed and cadence sensing in here, so it's fairly responsive. It's not quite as responsive as like maybe a Bosch system. They're known for measuring like 1,000 times per second, and I think this measures fewer times per second, but still pretty great. It's a neat system, and one of the things that differentiates it from other mid-drive systems I've tested is that it offers pedal assist and throttle mode. So you can actually use the throttle up to 6 miles per hour on its own without pedaling, or if you pedal along, the throttle will work up to 20 miles per hour. And I think the idea there is that you're taking this on a trail, you're using the pedals and riding it like a bike, but with the extra support of the motor. And then let's say you encounter a hill. Well, if you're struggling with the hill, rather than switching gears and doing stuff, you can just twist that throttle while you pedal, and it'll help you. It'll boost you up that hill. The other really unique thing about this bike in particular is that it can go up to 28 miles per hour. It's a speed Pedelec, and that's only with pedaling, right? So the throttle, if you're pedaling, cuts out at 20 miles per hour. The pedal assist, it goes all the way up to 28, which is fantastic. You could use this thing as an around-town commuter if you wanted. Otherwise, it'd make for a great trail bike, cross-country, and, of course, mountain biking. And I'm a big fan of full suspension. I commute to work a lot, and it's just nice to, it kind of smooths things out. My neck and back don't feel quite as tense, and so I'm a fan of this design. It does come in 2 frame sizes, 17-inch and 19-inch, and I'm on the 19-inch right now, the large frame size. I'm about 5'9", and it feels all right to me, but they've got some specs for recommending what size, and it's always good if you can try this out at a dealer. Before I get too much further, I should say that it's got these awesome hydraulic disc brakes. Check that out. Tektro Dorado, 180 millimeter rotor in the rear, 203 millimeter in the front, and it's got a 15 millimeter through axle. So see that axle? That's going to keep it more rigid and keep that disc straight. It's also just going to make servicing the wheel a lot easier. And both of these wheels have quick release because it's a mid-drive system, so you can service this just like a traditional bicycle. There aren't any extra wires running to the back. And so that's awesome. Of course, there's quick release seat tube as well. It's a 27.5 inch wheel that they're using here, so 650B, and that's sort of the new thing. It's sort of in between 26 inch, which was the old, standard size, and 29 inch, which is the really big one. 29 inch, it's meant to roll over bumps more efficiently and reduce the jarring nature of bumps. But that also extends the wheel out, and I've noticed that sometimes if you're pedaling, you could clip your toe on the 29ers, and they just aren't, they're not quite as responsive if you're maneuvering on technical terrain. So 27.5 is like the perfect, right in the middle, and that's what you've got here. Maxxis tires, I think they're 27.5 by 2.2, so relatively fat, standard trail tread. This is what you'd expect from a mountain bike. Nice velo locking grips, so they're not going to twist on you. I'm kind of a love-hate relationship with the throttle. I like having it, but half of the grip is the throttle, and so if you were really bearing down on a trail, it's not quite as firm as if it was just a grip like on this side, right? Like a low-rise bar in the front. Nice seat here, feels pretty good. Of course, you can always, you know, replace that if you don't like it. 10-speed cassette in the rear, SRAM X9, so that's pretty nice. 10 speeds is decent range, pretty much equivalent to what I've seen on the other Bosch or higher end bikes. And I love that they've got a nice double-sided aluminum alloy chain guide here, right? So it keeps the chain from bouncing off, and it also protects the teeth. It's kind of like a bash guard. If you hit something down here on the trail, it's not going to chip those teeth on that front sprocket. And the motor is relatively, you know, kept pretty high here. You'll notice that the chain ring comes below the motor. It's got this plastic case. So this is a 350 watt geared design, relatively torquey. You can hear it when you ride, but it's not too loud. And given the sound of the tires on the trail, you know, that kind of drowns out the motor noise. The battery pack is 48 volt, 8.7 amp hours, and it's removable, which is super great, because, you know, if you're hanging this on a rack on the back of your car, it's nice to reduce the weight so it doesn't hurt your rack, especially if you're carrying multiple bikes. It's also great to just be able to bring this in and charge it in the house. You can charge it on or off the bike. It uses lithium manganese cells. They're known for being lightweight, long lasting. It's quality all around. And again, putting it there low and center on the frame is ideal. There isn't a place here to mount a water bottle, but that's kind of, you know, I've seen that on a lot of full suspension bikes, especially electric bikes. There just isn't room. You could always use like a seat post adapter or a camelback or something. So that's one way to get over that. One complaint I have with this design is, in order to activate the bike, you can't just do it up here. You have to start down here with the battery. You have to press the battery power. You'll see it light up, kind of give you an LED indicator idea of how much battery capacity you have. Now we can press power again on that breakout console, and it does a little countdown, 8, 5, 7, whatever. There we go, and now we're ready to go. Now it is backlit. It's got a light sensor, which is pretty cool. It tells you your speed, battery level, assist level up to 4, and of course then there's the twist throttle. And I think that's kind of it. One of the areas that they've improved on their, you know, button pads in the past year or so is it's completely sealed. It's like rubberized, so sand and water and stuff won't get in there, and you can easily reach this without taking your hand off of the bars. So I like that, and you know, it's got kind of a tactile feedback. You can hear it and feel it click when you press that as you cycle through. So I'm gonna leave it in like assist level 3. I'm gonna start off just pedaling this thing and then show you with the throttle what it sounds like, what it looks like. There we go. Okay, just kind of pedaling along like a normal bike. There's the chain ring. There we go. You can see it get us up to 6 miles per hour. And then it cuts out. So that's what I was talking about. Throttle basically just helps you get going, and then the idea is to use pedal assist. So I'm gonna arrow this up to 4 and pedal along a little bit, and you can see how responsive it is. Feels really good going over those bumps with the full suspension. So now I'm pedaling and I'm using the throttle, and see, it'll get us up to that 20 mile per hour mark. Yeah. And if I wanted to, I could just pedal, and then we'd get into that speed pedelec, you know, 20 plus mile per hour range. So yeah, it's a neat setup. It's nice to see a full suspension design. And I love that, all the wires are run through the frame. It's very purpose-built. Comes in this black and red. Looks pretty nice. And, you are paying a premium, definitely, for that full suspension setup. But that's not something you can add later. You buy a bike and you decide you want full suspension. You got to buy a new bike. So, anyway, this is one of the more affordable full suspension electric bikes that I've reviewed. And, if you want that throttle and stuff, it could be a pretty good setup. That's the IZIP E3 Peak DS for 2015. For the full write-up on this, including pictures and specs and stuff, I'll see you back at the website, ElectricBikeReview.com.